All right, one of, if not the most common questions that we get asked, right, is where do we start? How in the world do I start this journey, right? Which is obviously a great first question. The problem is the answer isn't always what people want to hear. Right? What people want to hear is something like, call this person, look at these numbers, find this team member, watch out for this, use this checklist. People freaking love checklists. Listen, all of those things are important. We'll absolutely cover them, right? But that's not where you start, okay? And that's what I want to be clear of. Unfortunately, though, like a lot of people do, most people do, which is why, unfortunately, most people fail. Now the question is, why do they fail? Okay, because inevitably, when they're going through that checklist, something is going to go wrong. Napoleon Hill has a quote that goes something like, before anyone achieves success, they're going to be met with temporary defeat and failure, something along those lines. It's at that moment of temporary defeat that a checklist becomes irrelevant. Like the only thing that is relevant at that point is our perspective. It's because our perspective, in a very large part, is going to determine our reality. So with the right perspective, we're going to continue forward, right? But with the wrong perspective, we'll retreat. For example, when some people hear the words, most people fail, internally they shit their pants a little bit and think of retreating, think of giving up, right? Not y'all, but some people. That reaction is innately human. It's understandable, but it's certainly not the right perspective. Okay, which means before we start any checklist, we have to understand the key to success, right? The key to making sure that we don't retreat. The more that I learn and the more that I grow and the more success that I'm blessed to have, the more that I realize that success is never external, it is internal. Success begins with a state of mind and definiteness of purpose. So the answer to the question, the most common question of how do I start the journey, is you get in the right mindset. To explain that, I want to tell you about a guy named Captain Hernan Cortez, okay? Maybe. Please. Captain Hernan Cortez. In 1519, Captain Hernan Cortez decided to go to battle. So he loaded his ships, right, with all the equipment and the ammo and the other supplies that they might need, and they set sail to conquer the island of Veracruz. Here's the deal, though. Cortez knew that he was about to send his army against a bigger and better army, and his men, even though they didn't dare voice it, also knew that they were about to go up against a bigger and better army, which was causing this gigantic seed of doubt to begin growing in their minds. It's toxic. So Cortez obviously had an amazing understanding of the key to success, and he definitely wanted to succeed. So that desire, right, to succeed, coupled with the knowledge of what it took to do that, caused his mind to start creating these definite plans for its attainment, right? So after arriving in Veracruz and unloading the men and the equipment on the shores, Cortez gave this insane order, right, to burn the ships, to burn, the very ships that had carried them there, to burn their only chance at survival in the event that the bigger and better army got the upper hand. And as I imagine, some dude probably laughed, right? And then Cortez, with a stone cold freaking look on his face, sliced the dude's head off, okay? Everyone else probably looked around and realized that he wasn't joking, then proceeded to freaking set the ships ablaze and get absolutely hammered on rum. That might not be in the history books, but it has to be true. It is true in my mind, okay? But the lesson behind that, retreat's easy. Retreat is easy when we give ourselves the option. The most common cause of failure is quitting when we're met with temporary setbacks. Cortez and his men knew that there would be, setbacks and temporary defeats, but they also knew those temporary setbacks and defeats would give them every excuse in the books to retreat, right? But those excuses wouldn't lead to success. So being blind to excuses and hyper-focused on solutions is another success principle. Opportunity is rarely spelled out in these big, bold, unmistakable letters. I would say most of the time it comes disguised and it's only recognizable by somebody with definiteness of purpose, right? Someone who is certain about what they want and looking for every opportunity to get it. So sitting on the shores, right, watching the ships burn, once again, probably just jacked up on around. Cortez made sure that his army has the proper mindset. He said something along the lines of, you see those boats going up in smoke, right? That means that we can't leave these shores unless we win. We have no choice, right? We win or we perish. And, unfortunately, they died. They got slaughtered. They're deader than she is. I'm kidding. Okay? I'm kidding. Burning the boats was a great idea. It's obviously no surprise that they won. It's because they didn't have the luxury of excuses, which caused them to be hyper-focused on solutions, right? And I believe that to truly achieve the level of success that we each desire, there's going to be times where we individually need to burn the ships. We have to rid ourselves of excuses, right, so that we can see solutions. So the question that we have to continually ask ourselves, right, what are my ships, right? What am I afraid to let go? It can be big things, right? Big things like leaving our job and pursuing, something full-time. But most of the time, I would say those ships are small things, right? Like turning off our phone for a couple hours so we can get some freaking work done. Or, deciding not to check Facebook for the day or even a couple hours, right? Baby steps here. Not pushing snooze 78 times, right? Getting out of bed. Like if those small little life hacks, those small little ships, right, that we can burn that will result in growing leaps and bounds. But what I've found is it usually comes down to fear. Okay? Fear of failure, fear of looking foolish, fear of making mistakes, fear of not being smart enough even. My advice is do not run from those fears. They'll absolutely catch up to you. Instead, we have to reframe the fear. Okay? Reframing is key to getting in the right mindset. So, for example, no matter what is happening, believe that life is happening for us, not to us. Right? When we do that, we'll find the positive within any negative. And here's the reality: those fears that we are trying so desperately to try to avoid, they're going to happen. We're going to fail. Not only will we fail, we need to fail. We learn more about how to succeed from failures than we do any triumph, right? There's also times that we're going to look foolish, right? But I think, for the record, that anyone who gives up before they even start looks foolish as hell, right? Looking foolish due to action is temporary, but looking foolish due to inaction, that's permanent, okay? So we're also going to make mistakes. With the right perspective, the right mindset, we're not going to be frustrated by those. We'll learn from those. Win or learn, right? I'm sure you remember us talking about that at training. And lastly, we definitely aren't smart enough. Regardless of what our parents or other loved ones have told us and continue to tell us, we need to get better. We need to learn more. And the reality is that we need to grow if we're going to achieve and maintain a bigger, higher level of success. So we continue forward, right? Learning along the way, and magically we become smart enough. So to wrap all this up, okay, we have to take ownership. One of the major differences between those who are successful and those who aren't is ownership. The victim, for example, they'll face a challenge, right? They'll fail and they'll blame circumstance. They'll blame the circumstance. The successful will also face challenges. They'll look foolish. They'll make mistakes. They'll realize they aren't, smart enough, and they will fail. But here's the difference, right? Instead of wasting, time trying to place blame and running from the failure, they freaking own it. They study it. They learn from it, and they continue forward. They realize that, success, it's not an event, it's a process. And they realize that failure is part of the process. So listen, we have to stop running from fears and failure and make a decision instead to attack fear and failure. Okay, so our mindset is the foundational cornerstone of success because everything will start and end here, right? The secret to, both success and failure, it comes down to one thing. I feel like that's decisions, right? We'll accomplish whatever goal we set out to accomplish by making a decision to get there. But on the flip side, right, we'll fail in the pursuit of whatever goal we set out to accomplish if we make a decision to quit before we freaking get there. This gigantic secret of success that so many people are in the pursuit of is literally so simple. We choose a goal, and we focus all of our energy on achieving that goal. Shit, I gotta punch hard, but that's only simple if we have the right mindset. The mindset that will burn any proverbial ship that isn't serving to our goal, right? The mindset that takes ownership for everything. The mindset that finds the positive within any negative. And most importantly, the mindset that knows exactly what it wants, that has no room for thoughts of failure or procrastination, is willing to burn any damn ship that stands in the way of obtaining it. That is the key to becoming a multifamily mindsetter, and that is what I'm extremely passionate about and so excited to have you on board with. So where do we start? Right here.